As someone familiar with psychedelics, I thought I had a handle on what to expect. At that night at my friend's apartment, it was like diving into the unknown all over again. I took a tab and things started shifting sooner than I'd anticipated. The come up was different this time, more intense, more immediate. It wasn't the gradual unfolding I was used to. It hit me like a tidal wave. At first, it was exhilarating, this rush of energy tingling through my body. Colors became more vibrant. The room seemed to breathe and pulse in sync with my heartbeat. But amidst the heightened senses, there was a strange undertone, a sensation of detachment that grew stronger by the minute. It was like watching reality through a lens. But that lens was getting thicker, distorting everything around me. I could still see, hear, and touch, but it felt like I was a spectator rather than a participant in my own life. As the trip peaked, that detachment turned into a sense of floating. Not physically, my feet were firmly planted, but my mind, my consciousness, it was drifting away. And then came this overwhelming feeling of moving towards something. It wasn't a physical movement, more like a gravitational pull of my being towards an unknown destination. The fear crept in slowly like a shadow stretching across the room. I remember my heart pounding in my chest as I felt myself being drawn towards this light. It wasn't a blinding light. It was more like this beckoning presence, something I couldn't quite comprehend. And then darkness, complete, all-encompassing darkness. It wasn't like closing your eyes. It was like being submerged in an endless void. There was no sensation of a body, no perception of time or space. Just this eerie silence, this emptiness that felt both suffocating and strangely peaceful. The realization hit me like a ton of bricks. I was dead. Or at least that's what my mind was convinced of. There was no panic, just this profound acceptance that this was it, the end of the line. And it wasn't like the ego death experiences I've had on psychedelics before. There was no annihilation of my sense of self. I still felt like I was me. But I had the unshakable belief that I was dead. My life was over. And now I was in some kind of afterlife. It's hard to explain what it feels like to think you're dead. It's this state of existence where there's nothing to hold on to, no reference point to make sense of what's happening. And then the pull. It started as this faint sensation, a great distant tug at the edges of my non-being. At first, I resisted. Who'd want to leave that void? But it persisted, growing stronger with each passing moment. Slowly, ever so slowly, I began feeling again. Started as a faint pulse, a distant throb that grew into a tangible sensation. I could feel the outline of a body, the subtle warmth spreading through limbs that I thought I'd lost. The return to reality wasn't like flipping a switch. It was this gradual awakening. I remember the first sensation, my fingertips tingling as if they were reconnecting with some vital life force. Then came the rush of air into my lungs, the awareness of breath like a lifeline pulling me back. Suddenly, it was like coming out of a deep sleep. Colors sharpened, sounds became distinct, and the room reassembled itself into familiar shapes. But there was this disorientation, this struggle to reconcile the void I'd just emerged from with the reality that was reasserting itself. The transition wasn't smooth. It was like piecing together fragments of a shattered mirror, trying to make sense of the fractured reflections. I could feel what it was like to have a body again, but it felt foreign, like trying to inhabit a vessel I hadn't used in ages. And amidst this reassembly of senses and self, there was this message. More a profound understanding than words. It was this intuitive knowing that I wasn't done yet, that as much as I felt like I'd crossed some threshold, there was more for me in this physical realm. It's strange how experience like that lingers. It's not something you easily shake off or file away as just another trip. It leaves this imprint, this lingering echo that reverberates through your consciousness. As I gradually settled back into the familiar rhythm of reality, that message stayed with me. It wasn't like I suddenly had all the answers or a clear roadmap laid out before me, but it was this persistent whisper, nudging me to pay attention, to explore, to figure out what it is that I'm supposed to be doing here. Maybe it's not about finding a neat conclusion or a profound lesson. Maybe it's about embracing the uncertainty, the journey of figuring it all out as I stumble through this existence. And perhaps in that ongoing quest, I'll uncover the purpose that beckoned me back from that void, that liminal space between life and whatever lies beyond.